Yo, what's cooking, people? So many things to talk about recently, all requiring their own videos. But seeing as we've had some news today, let's get this fired out of the way before I get back to the meaty things like the nonsense around single player supposedly becoming a relic, and also if nostalgia affects review scores. Just to let you know quickly, both I feel are full of shit, but I'll get to those soon, so don't worry about that. So, today's news. Let's start off on a happy note, shall we? A surprise to no one, I feel. Nintendo announced today that the Nintendo Switch has sold 7.63 million units in a mere 7 months, as I believe these figures don't include October, which all in all pretty much means it's a success, but like I said, we knew that anyway. Not only that, Breath of the Wild sold 4.7 million units, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe 4.42 million units, Splatoon 2 3.61 million units, and both ARMS and 1-2-Switch have sold nearly 1.4 million units each. Those are some pretty sensational attachment rates there. Although I can't help but feel slightly stunned that Breath of the Wild, the best game ever made, hasn't got a 100% attach ratio. But the world, as we know, is full of crazy people. To add to this, the 3DS has refused to go down without a fight and is sporting software sales from games like Pokemon X and Y, which have sold over 16 million units. Mario Kart 7 nearly 60 million units as well, and not to mention other titles that have also passed the 10 million mark or the 5 million mark. Let's be honest here. Most other developers would kill for attachment rates like that with their first party titles, and many of them have software that indeed should reach those numbers, considering the installed bases of their platforms, but for some odd reason, few of them do. And finally, you have the SNES Mini, which has also shipped 1.7 million units across the world. I think we need to give Nintendo a round of applause here. They have successfully launched 2 new pieces of hardware, sold an absolute wealth of software across their platforms, and have also released 2 of the most highly acclaimed games ever made, all in 7 months. And the way things are going, it doesn't look like they'll be slowing down, according to their president, which is obviously nothing but great news for us Nintendo players. But at the same time, we have to tip our hats to the late, great Satoru Iwata, who set all this in motion. Let's not forget that. The man was a genius, and it's a damn shame that he couldn't be here to see the success of the Switch after all the testing times he had with the Wii U. I miss you, Iwata. And finally, let's move on to Sony's PlayStation Paris Games Week, shall we? Which had quite a few announcements, to be fair, but unfortunately most of them we already knew about, and what was new, some of it looked quite creative, especially from the indie scene as usual, or some of the bigger budget titles didn't, bother to showcase any actual gameplay. So you were left trying to guess if they will be any good, based off the developer. So let's quickly talk about the games that piqued my interest in either a good way or a bad way. The Last of Us 2, the sequel no one asked for or needed, I feel, but here it is, and the best part is that it looks like a completely new story. Although I have my reservations. I kind of doubt that, with it being completely new, as we've already been shown a trailer with Ellie and Joel when they first announced it. The game looks even darker now, but then that's the PlayStation market for the most part. They love their dark, realistic, gritty film-like games. But either way, The Last of Us 2 is coming. It's going to sell loads. And I'm interested. I played the first game, didn't like it as much as everyone else, but it's still a fantastic game. And yeah, the sequel is definitely going to be on my radar. And moving on, speaking of gritty, some new God of War was shown. in what was possibly the shortest gameplay trailer I've ever seen, but at least it was gameplay. Having played all the console God of Wars, it's hard not to feel fatigue setting in, something I felt, immensely with the third game. And as much as I want to care about this game, I'm just not seeing enough new, outside of the change in camera angle to get me excited. But, I'm a sucker for Greek and Nordic mythology, and God of War series has always been, had a good take on them. It's going to be it's going to be a wait and see on God of War, and indeed we're still waiting. But the game graphically looks stunning as always, and once again it will be on my radar. Then we have Erica. This game is a live action murder mystery by by the looks of it. It uses the PlayStation Play Link, which you can use your phone for and play multiplayer social games with. It could be interesting, but a part of me can't help but laugh and think of it as an FMV adventure, which is, they have always been dodgy games, but hey, this isn't the 90s anymore. Games developers hire quality actors now, you'd like to think, and I'm an open-minded guy, yeah. I'm intrigued purely by the premise. Doubt I'll ever get the game. But actually, in fact, I know I won't ever get the game. Moving on, and we have concrete Genie. A game from Pixel Opus, who are owned by Sony, and last created that game, that strange game called Entwined, a game I played a little bit on the PlayStation 4. Out of all the games shown, this one I felt was by far the most creative. Depending on how you use your powers to bring these creatures to life and what gameplay can be made from them, this could be a beautiful and charming title. One that I'll definitely be keeping my eye on. And there's no denying that actually, it looks stunning. It's got a beautiful art style to it, beautiful colors, and yeah, I'm definitely gonna keep my eye on this one. Now we have Ghost of Tsushima. I hope I pronounced that correctly. From Sucker Punch, an open world samurai game. We don't have enough samurai games, and a well crafted adventure title would certainly float my boat. I'm a huge lover of Eastern culture, always have been, and in video games, the Tenshu series holds a special place in my heart, as well as Bushido Blade and a few other games. My only barriers are that the game is indeed, being developed by Sucker Punch, who have created the Sly Raccoon series and the Infamous series, a series of games that I've played enough to confirm to myself that they are, I feel, average at best. I'm not a huge fan of these series, and this trailer doesn't show an ounce of gameplay to get me excited about the actual game itself. But once again, I have to remain open-minded. Perhaps they'll move away from the Infamous games and, for example, Guerrilla Studios creating a completely new style of game, from themselves in the form of something like Horizon Zero Dawn, whereas previously Guerrilla Games only done first-person shooters. Perhaps Sucker Punch will do the same. So let's just say it's on my radar. Now you have Onrush, a game from Codemasters, or more accurately, a game by Evolution Studios, who were closed by Sony, if you remember, but luckily scooped up by Codemasters. The funny thing is, as soon as I saw this game, I thought it looked like MotorStorm, before I even knew who was working on it, and Evolution Studios developed the MotorStorm series, a series, once exclusive to the PlayStation brand, and for me, a pretty decent arcade, racer, even if it was a little slow and clunky at times. I hope this game does well. The more varied racers we have on the market, the better. And finally, we have Oya, I believe that's how you might pronounce it, a game from Heavy Spectrum, who also developed the Shadow of the Beast remake. It's easy to get those Journey vibes from this game, which is why it's piqued my interest. But also because it was one of the few games with actual color in Sony's presentation. Can't say I'm hyped for this, but I'm certainly intrigued enough to have it on my radar. So anyway, Sony announced some other things, most of which we've seen before, and for me, Monster Hunter World was the highlight of the event again. The more I see of this game, the more I can't wait to play it, and it'll actually get me to turn my PlayStation 4 back on, whilst also forcing me to sign back up to that bloody overpriced PlayStation Plus again. Unless of course the game is on PC, I can't remember if it is or not, and crossplay, which would be ideal for me. But we all know Sony don't like to play ball with crossplay for some reason. Overall, I thought Sony's event was typical Sony really. Lots of serious looking trailers with the odd few games grabbing a little bit of interest, for myself. But, that's about it. Anyway, I've waffled on for long enough. I have this week off thanks to my kids' school half term. So I'm eager to update my channel a little and get some more content flowing. So please stick around, and as always, thanks for watching, and don't forget to chime in your thoughts in the comments section below. Peace.